Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be doing an SSD swap and clean on the base PS4. I will put timestamps in the description as well as links to all the products that I used. With that said, let's get started. Alright, so this is everything you're going to need to swap your hard drive and clean your PS4. First thing is a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm not sure the size of it. It is a smaller one. Not quite as small as the one you would use on a pair of glasses, but it is close. Next thing you're going to need is your SSD. I went with the Samsung 860 EVO. Make sure it is a 2.5 inch internal SATA 3 SSD. Next you have your USB drive. Make sure it's formatted in FAT32 or exFAT. And this is where you're going to put your system restore and your backup files. These are your Torx screwdrivers. The T8 is the one that I used to get into my PlayStation. This also comes with a T9 and T10, as well as 2 prying tools and a brush. Q-tips we are going to use just to get into the hard to reach areas. And the compressed air we're going to use to get any loose dust out. If you've never cleaned your PS4, there is going to be a lot of it. The rubbing alcohol we're going to use to dip the Q-tips in, and that's just going to help the dust adhere to them better. So from there, you're going to go to the PS4 System Software Update page, and you want to download the PS4 reinstallation file. Other videos I watched told me to use the update file, but that didn't work for me, so this is what I used. Now on your USB drive, you're going to create a folder called PS4, all caps, and in that folder, you're going to create a folder called Update. Again, all caps. Now this folder is where you're going to want to drop the reinstallation file. And guys, make sure that it is titled ps4updates.pup, just like you see there. Once that's done, you can take your USB drive out, move it over to your PS4. You're going to go down to System. You're going to go to Backup and Restore. And from there, you want to back up your PS4. Now it is going to bring up all the files on your hard drive. And as you can see, I chose to back up everything except my applications, which are my games, just because I was going to re-download them anyway. You know, if you have good internet, then I don't see a reason why you need to back them up. But if you have bad internet, or if you have no internet but somehow digital games, then I would back them up. So it's going to do its thing. Once it's done, it's going to restart and you can power it off and move on to the next step. So now what we're going to do is replace the hard drive itself. First thing you're going to do is take off the hard drive cover on the left side. It should slide out pretty easy. And before I do that, I'm going to put on some gloves. And then I'm going to take my Phillips head screwdriver, and there is just one screw holding the drive bay in place. I'm going to remove that, and the drive should pop right out. Before you move on, just make sure to pay attention to the pin orientation. I didn't, and I had to double check by looking inside the drive bay down there, so it'll make your life easier. As you saw, there are 4 screws holding the drive in the bay. Just take those out with the Phillips head screwdriver. Once you're done, it should pop right out. I chose to dust it off, but if yours isn't dirty, you don't have to. It's not a heavy dust area. From there, you can get your SSD, slot that right in. The brackets should match up flush. Now, some of you might be wondering why I only went with a 500 gig. Honestly, space has never been an issue for me. I only keep 1, 2, maybe 3 games on at the most. So if you're somebody who plays bigger games or keeps a lot of games on your system, I would go with a 1 terabyte at least. After that, I took the compressed air and sprayed out the inside of the bay a little bit. Once you're done with that, you are good to reinsert the drive. Be sure it's facing the right way. There you go. It should snap right back into place. And then you're going to grab your mounting screw and screw it back in. Last thing you want to do is grab your cover and slot it back on same way you took it off. And there you go. Your hardware is officially installed. What you're going to want to do next is boot into safe mode. To do that, you're going to push and hold the power button down until it beeps a second time. And once it does, you can let go. In the safe mode menu, you can go all the way to the bottom to initialize PS4, reinstall system software, and click OK. From there, it is going to ask you if you want to initialize. Just go ahead and click yes, and it will start doing its thing. The whole thing takes about 15 minutes or so, and once you're done, it's going to take you to the startup screen as if you got the PlayStation brand new. It's going to have you set everything up, which you'll see here in a moment. The initial setup is going to be pretty basic. This is where you'll do your language, time zone, internet connection, and then from there, it's going to bring you into the main menu. So, once you're back in the menu, you can scroll all the way to the right and up to your settings. From there, you're going to scroll down to System. You're going to find Backup and Restore, and you are going to restore your PS4 from the file that you made earlier. It's going to ask you if you want to go ahead with the restoration. Just click yes, and you're good to go. Now, I downloaded my games. I had forgotten to capture the original, but you can see my theme is back, and everything's good. Alright, so if you did come just for the SSD, you're all done. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are staying on for the cleaning, that starts right now. For cleaning, the first thing you're going to want to do is locate the screws on the back of your PS4. Mine's had two. This is model number CUH1215A. I've seen videos where some of them have more. It just depends on the system. You're going to use your T8 Torx, and usually, guys, these are hidden underneath warranty stickers, so just if you can't find them, that's where they are. Next, this is where that prying tool comes in handy. You don't need it, but it does help a lot. I was trying to think of something else you could use in place of that. Maybe a credit card or something. I just don't know if that's thin enough to fit inside the seams. Once you get that off, you are now inside your PS4. As you can see, mine is a bit dirty. It's not terrible, but it is definitely worth cleaning. Next, you're going to get your T8 Torx again, and you're going to take out screws holding down the power supply. There are actually 4 of them. I only take out 3 here because I did not know there was a 4th. But I will get that later, as you will see. But before we move on, we're going to clean the cover because it is dusty. For this, I just used a damp paper towel, and then I dried it off with a dry one. And as you can see here, it's a bit cleaner. And to get into the corners here, we're going to use a Q-tip. In hindsight, it might have been better to use the brush. I just didn't think of it at the time. And now we're going back for that 4th screw that I mentioned earlier. Once you get that out, you can switch over to your Phillips head screwdriver. And you're going to remove 2 screws holding down what I believe is a heat sink. I could be totally wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments below what this is. And once you're done with that, you are good to remove the power supply. And when you're doing this, guys, just be careful that you don't yank it out. There is a wire connecting the PSU to the PlayStation itself. And also, you want to try and lift straight up, just because the connecting pins on there might get bent. So I'll show you the best I can. I don't know if you could see the pins on that, but there are 2 vertical pins. Now we're just going to do a quick wipe down of the power supply unit, and we're going to spray it out a bit, just because I don't think I've ever cleaned this part of the PlayStation before. I know I've cleaned the fan before, but this is the first time I've taken out the power supply. And this is where it starts to get interesting. I want you guys to pay attention to the top of the screen. I'm going to point it out for you in a second, but just remember that area. Got it? Good. So now we're going to take our rubbing alcohol and we're going to dip a Q-tip in it. You don't have to soak it or anything. Just enough to get it to pick up some of the dust. Now when I go around the fan here, you'll see that I'm going to hold down the bearing the best I can. That's just so you don't spin it, so you don't wear it out. And as you can see, it is pretty dirty. After that, I took the compressed air and just sprayed any dust that might have come loose while I was cleaning the fan. Now we're going to go ahead and rotate the PS4. And there it is. I know you probably can't see it from here, so let's go in closer. This is why you clean your PS4. That is a dead lizard. I have no idea how long that's been in there, but it's gross. So let's get rid of that. And now we're going to go to our brush. We're just going to use it on any hard to reach places. And guys, I'm curious, if you have any weird stories like this about cleaning your PS4, let me know in the comments. Of all the things I thought I'd find, I would have never thought I'd find that. Next, I took some more compressed air, just went over the different areas that I've cleaned, went over with the brush again. And before I put the power supply back, I want to spray it again just to make sure. From there, you should be good to put the power supply back into place. Again, make sure to set it straight down onto those prongs, and it should pop right back in. You can go ahead and put the heat shield back on, screwed into place with the Phillips head screwdriver. And after that, you can go ahead and screw down the power supply with the 4 T8 Torx screws. So while that runs, I know some of you might be wondering, hey, PS5 just came out. Why are you doing this now? Well, mostly because I wanted to wait a year for tech to catch up. Right now, if you wanted to play 4K, 120Hz, HDMI 2.1, it's pretty expensive. And also, studios haven't exactly had time to focus solely on current gen. Hopefully in a year, that'll change. Tech prices will come down, games will be more optimized, and that's when I'll pick it up. So I went back in with the Q-tip just because I only got the surface of the fan blades earlier, and as you can see, it is pretty dirty. So we are going to go over with the brush again, and we are going to finish this off with the compressed air. And that is it. Your PS4 is cleaned and dusted. You can go ahead and pop the bottom cover on, and it's going to be a single Torx screw to lock it in. Now technically you can stop here. I'm going to keep going. There is a top section, but it is a pain to get to, and honestly might not be worth your time. But if you're a thorough person and you want to make sure your entire PS4 is cleaned out, then stick around. And now's where the fun begins. If you have a prying tool, get it out and go around the edges of that top right-hand cover next to the hard drive. If you don't have a prying tool, honestly, guys, you can skip it. It takes a long time to get in here, at least it did for me. I want to say it took about 15 minutes, and every time I would get part of the case off, another part would go back on. And with this particular part, it just feels like it's fighting you the whole way. Once you get it off, though, once you get it loose, it does pop off pretty easy. As you can see, I did chip off little parts of it. It didn't affect the seal, I guess, when you put it back on. It was fine. but that's not what you want to see. So in here, there wasn't that much to clean. It's a light dust and a light brush over. The case cover, a little bit different. You'll see some dust in there. And for that one, we did the usual wet paper towel, dry paper towel, which you don't see here, air dust, and finish it off with the brush. And that is your completion. This last step. You can pop the case back on. It'll pop on really easily. I chose to go around the little seam with the brush. You don't have to. I feel like we've dusted and brushed this thing enough for the day. Once that's done, screw in that last T8, and congratulations. You now have an SSD and a clean PS4. Alright, so if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If the video helped you out, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Before you go though, I want to hear from you. Did you already get your PS5? Are you getting it as soon as it becomes available again? Or are you like me and waiting till next year? Leave a comment below and let me know. Till next time guys, I'm Brad and this is Bradcast.